Texting whilst driving is bad. I'm sure we've all heard that at some point in our lives. But why? Is it because young people these days are attracted to their screens like moths to a flame? Or is it simply because the law says so? In this video, we will discuss the why with research, evidence, and theories looking at this topic. So, in different countries, they each have different laws in regards to phone use whilst driving. However, in general, the consensus is that physically touching your phone on the wheel is illegal. Functions like Siri or Apple CarPlay, however, are not illegal, and using your phone as navigation is commonly done by drivers. So in that standpoint, it seems that the government believes that phone use on the wheel is bad due to the requirement of physically needing to multitask. How about the research? Well, in 2016, a study looked at the frequency of cell phone related accidents. The study involved 1,211 US drivers who completed the distracted driving survey. Researchers found a significant correlation between the survey scores and crash rates. From not only this study, but also from other papers like this one, we can insinuate that vehicle accidents are heavily influenced by how distracted the driver is. But let's look at this more in depth in a psychological lens by looking at this meta-analysis. A meta-analysis, for those who don't know, is simply a research paper that combines and analyzes the results of multiple independent studies on a specific topic. In this case, this meta-analysis on texting whilst driving found that text messaging had a significantly larger influence on driving performance than other phone-related activities, such as phone calls. It was also found that it was typically younger drivers who could not resist the temptation of reading and replying to messages on their mobile phones. The researchers even found that there was a significant correlation between age and performance, with drivers with more experience handling driving situations better than their younger counterparts. Auditory distractions, such as listening to music or engaging in a conversation verbally, negatively impacts the driver's situational awareness and average speed. So, what can we take away from this meta-analysis? Well, from this research, any form of interaction with text messages, whether that be reading or sending them, should be prohibited as they cause significant negative effects on the driver's performance. But why does phone use cause such a decline in a person's ability to drive safely? And why does age play such a major factor in the correlation between itself and drivers' performance, as well as their tendency to use their phones? Well, we can't say anything for certain, but here are a few theories. Firstly, in the meta-analysis, the researchers discussed that the visual and manual distractions that occur when texting results in significantly lower awareness by the drivers on the road. As well, the thought processes required to formulate a text can detract your attention away from the road. These points make sense, but what about other actions, such as tuning the radio or adjusting navigation? Well, the researchers found that whilst it did negatively impact the driver's performance, it was not to the same degree as texting whilst driving. In terms of the role age has on driving performance, I have a couple of theories that can possibly explain why. Obviously, younger people have less experience in driving than older people. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, but to merely chalk it up to that is simply ignorance on our part. Another explanation relates to how younger people perceive the reward-consequence ratio of using their phones whilst driving. Normally, when it comes to most actions in life, people gauge the cost of acting versus the cost of inaction, and this process allows most people to make sound decisions in their life. However, with younger people, as they haven't experienced life to the same degree as older people and haven't weighed in the responsibilities of driving, they may not understand the true consequences that can occur due to this reckless behavior. Their brains haven't been calibrated properly yet, and sending that one saucy message outweighs the possibility of losing your life or committing manslaughter. So, the basic underlying consensus as to why texting whilst driving is bad is due to the physical and manual requirements needed to send and reply to texts. As well, the cognitive processing required to formulate a response on text messages aids the issue with texting whilst driving. This is why phone use, and especially texting, is bad whilst driving. The consequences of these actions are catastrophic and can easily be prevented by simply putting your phone away and focusing on what's in front of you. So don't be an idiot and text whilst drive. Have some self-control and wait for a safe situation before you grab your phone.